All right, guys. Today we have a great episode for you. We have one for the Honker fans. He's finally arrived and take over an episode. And we got one for the villains. We got Splatter Phoenix. She's finally here. Welcome to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. I'm your host, Will Santana. And
I'm Mike Russo, and the verisimilitude of my endeavors is far beyond the grasp of your petty little bourgeois minds.
you know, I don't even understand half her dialogue in this episode, man.
It took me forever to pick just the right quote from her.
Oh, man. But, Mike, we have a special guest with us today. You want to introduce her?
Yes, we have a legend in our on our episode today. We have the great Katie Leigh, the voice of Honker himself. Hi, Katie.
Thank you. Hi. I don't usually get introduced as the great Katie Leigh, so I'm just going to sit with that for a minute. That's pretty nice. Thank you.
You've earned it. You've earned it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, so Katie, you just got back from New York. How was that?
Oh, it was beautiful. I was in Western New York, and it's just all farms and rolling hills and Victorian houses. It was beautiful.
It's beautiful up there.
Yeah. Lots of lakes and rivers.
Mm-hmm. And Katie, you've been working on workshops. For people who don't know or don't follow you, can you explain what those workshops are real quick?
Well, I'm working on a rotation of workshops. Basically, I have about 3 that I normally do. One is a workshop for toys and games and apps, voiceover workshops, so people can learn what's required when you're doing games and apps and that sort of thing. That's really fun. And I've been doing a radio drama, an audio drama workshop, just practicing, the theater of the mind. And the other one is animation workshop. I do intro to animation and some advanced classes. It just depends. Really, my classes are for everybody because whatever level you're at, I'll work with you and help you get to the next level, basically. So I've been trying to do that every 2 weeks. I kind of got off schedule because being in New York, I forgot to think. I was busy working on an audio drama for about 10 hours a day. So that took most of my focus. And then I did a in-person workshop at Family Life Network in New York. So we had a bunch of actors who were wearing masks. And
you really kept yourself busy. Coronavirus hasn't stopped you.
No, it's been great. I can't complain. And while I was gone working on that job, I had some things on the road, and now I'm back, and I actually just got booked to go back in the studio to work on a new show that I've been doing. 3. I did a Tom and Jerry yesterday.
Hey,
Tom and Jerry. Yeah, I didn't know they were still doing Tom and Jerry stuff. That's nice to hear.
New Tom and Jerry's, and this one is Tom and Jerry in New York.
Oh,
okay. All right. I'm a huge Tom and Jerry fan.
It's brand new, and I'm so thankful they asked me to play a little role. And we did that remotely, but I'll be going back into the studio to work on some dubbing stuff. So things are picking up, and everybody's being very careful. And I'm just, keeping my fingers crossed and my hands washed. And
well, that's the good thing about animation. You can keep doing it regardless.
It's really a wonderful blessing. So if anybody's interested in my workshops, they can certainly go to my website, katieleigh.com or voiceofyourchildhood.com.
Yeah, I got to sign my daughter up for one. She keeps asking me to sign her up, but yeah, I got to get her in one.
Well, about every 3, I'm going to try to do one just for kids. So I'll do apps and toys for kids and animation for kids, and maybe radio drama. People who outside of Darkwing Duck and Gummy Bears also know me as Connie Kendall on Adventures in Odyssey, which I've been doing for 32 years.
Wow.
And that's a faith-based show, and so a lot of the kids who've grown up listening or who are still listening, they want to work on some audio dramas similar to that. So I'm going to do something that's just, using some Odyssey type scripts. So yeah,
okay.
That's what's on the horizon.
Yeah, Mike, for our listeners, I'm pretty sure most of our listeners know who Katie is outside of Honker and Darkwing. Uh, can you like plug what other characters she's voiced and stuff real quick,
Well,
man?
she just mentioned Gummy Bears, and on Gummy Bears, she was Sunny Gummy. I
Yeah.
mean, I think you guys can hear that in her voice. Wonderful show that I think is very
When I was Sunny, I was younger, so she sounded younger too.
yeah. Wonderful show that actually holds up. I recommend people revisit it if they can. She was also Baby Rolf on Gummy Bears.
Love that
I
character.
think you mean on the Muppet Babies.
What did I say? Gummy Bears?
Yeah.
Muppet Babies. I'm sorry, Katie. Yeah, you were Baby Rolf.
Yep.
And harder show to see now because Disney there's a whole rights problem with it. But you were
There's
wonderful
no
on that too.
problem. They just don't want to show it.
Well, they should do something about that.
Yeah, well, you guys write to your local Disney affiliate and tell them you want it.
I will do that.
Okay. Well, they got the new, they got the new Muppet Baby, so I think they think that's enough.
Probably, yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
All right, so let's go and get into this episode, Mike. What episode are we talking about today?
A brush with Oblivion.
Now, this episode, I think, is the second episode where Honker shines, but
Yeah.
the first one, he didn't shine like this one.
Yeah, no. He was being controlled by an alien hat throughout that first one. This one, he really is the hero.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So this is the Honker takeover, in my opinion, and we get a villain that a lot of people love, is well written. Let's just go ahead and get into this episode. Mike, what's our production and air date order?
The original air date for this one was Saturday, November 23rd, 1991. We're almost done with the Saturday morning shows. This is our second to last one. And it was 19th in production order, so it was a little bit of an early one. And should I do story editor and writer, Will?
So, hey, guys, you know what? My husband would like to have dinner, so I'm going to cut out, but I have a friend who's going to stick around and help out with this, okay?
Okay.
Oh.
Wonder who's our friend.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Honk!
How are you
Honker!
doing? Yeah, I heard this show is about me, so I totally wanted to watch it.
All right. Hey, Honker, we about to talk about you, man. This is your episode.
Well, I don't like people talking about me behind my back, so I'm here.
All right, Honker. Well, Honker, before we get into the episode, Mike's is going to give us a little information about it, and then we're going to get into your episode and ask you, how did you feel, and what was your reaction to certain scenes, man?
Okay, well, Mike, I hope that you are accurate.
Oh, don't worry, Honker. So the story editor in this episode was Carter Crocker. Will, this was actually his first one by production order, but the last one to actually air. A lot of the original story editors have started leaving at this point. It was written by someone named Meredith Schilder. The only episode this person wrote, which is funny because this one's a really well written episode.
Probably
he was
led on to bigger and better things.
Actually, outside of a couple of episodes of Goof Troop, this person didn't do anything else. But it's so odd. This one episode is so fantastic. And in terms of animation, Will, you want to take a guess where this one was animated?
Japan?
No, but you're close.
Australia? Your favorite.
I think this is the best Australia show. Absolute best Australia show. Lots of great animation. And what I love about it, see, I was an art major in college, and I always loved art, even as a kid. I went to all the museums in New York on field trips. I studied art. I love this episode for all the paintings and how the animation has the characters going into these paintings and drawing like the art styles. It's a really visually creative and ambitious episode. And Australia does a
educational.
It is, Honker.
Yes,
Honker. It really is educational.
I'm glad, Mike, you can cover that because for our listeners, I know nothing about art. All I know is Van Gogh, Picasso, Da Vinci, the Mona Lisa, and that's about it.
I'll name the paintings as we get to them.
Okay.
Well, Honker, you got to be in some of these paintings. That must have been crazy.
I did. It was frightening.
Oh, man.
You handle it like a champ, though.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's plot time, guys.
All right, let's get into the plot. So we start off at the art museum, and we got Goss. She's mocking some of the painting. Tank is teasing her, and Honk is showing everyone his painting. What was his painting called, Mike?
It was called Krusty Flakes to the 14th Power.
It was really awesome, wasn't it?
Oh,
It was a really good painting. But then along comes Herb and is like, oh, this painting will be worth a fortune. And I love the commentary, how parents talk about each other behind their backs, how Darkwing's like, that's kind of obsessive parenting is has to be an unhappy home life. You know, it's like then Goslin shows Drake her painting, which is two dinosaurs fighting. And Launchpad says, what kind of home life does that suggest? And Darkwing is like, it's just a painting. He got called on it.
Be defensive sometimes.
Yeah, but then we get Honker, and he notices a special person in the background of a painting.
He does notice something.
Mm-hmm.
As Honker is checking out what's going on, we meet a museum curator, a pig. I want to mention his voice actor. This voice actor plays two characters in this episode. This is Michael Greer. Born 1938, passed away in 2002. Interesting fact about him, he was the first openly gay actor to appear in Hollywood films. He was an actor, comedian, cabaret performer. This pig is an okay voice, but the voice he does later in the episode is really good. Mm-hmm. This is his only Disney voice. His only other animation role was in the show Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa, which I know nothing about. I just know it aired after Darkwing on ABC. That's how I know it even exists. So yeah, we have the museum curator. Will, tell us about what Honker sees in the painting.
He sees, well, he does. We can't name the person yet.
No.
But he sees a female running around in the painting, and he creeps up to it. Like, Honker has a little courage at the very beginning. We're not used to that yet.
No. And really quick, since I'll name the paintings as we get to them, this painting is the famous husband and wife farmer painting called American Gothic. Like, it's you know it as soon as you see it. The husband and wife with the pitchfork. And yet, as a character in this painting, how did you feel seeing this woman crawl out of the painting, Honker?
Well, I just caught her out of the corner of my eye, and it was very suspicious.
Yeah, you had to check your glasses to make sure you weren't seeing things.
I know. I didn't know exactly what it was.
Nobody wants to listen to you. Binky shushes you. The curator tells you to be quiet.
No,
and then this...
as a matter of fact, I took a screenshot. I took a special recording of my line because actually Sonny Gummy said the same line in a Gummy Bears episode, so you might hear it because Honker says, nobody ever listens to me.
Oh, man. And they should always listen to Honker, man. Honker's always on it, man.
Everybody should listen to Honker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't because I don't know why. Maybe I'm just too short.
Well, you've gotten Darkwing out of trouble way too many times for people not to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So this woman comes out of the painting. Great design. I'm not going to name her until... Should we name her, Will? Or should we wait?
Yeah, let's go. Because, you know, the listeners want to hear the name now.
Okay, so this villain's name is Splatter Phoenix. She is mentioned only once in passing in this episode, and she's never mentioned again. We get her name about halfway through. So we shouldn't wait till they name her. Her name is Splatter Phoenix, but you guys know who she is. She comes out of the painting, draws a door on the case of a statue, steals the statue, and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So poor Honker. You're trying so hard to get people to pay attention to you.
Right, but they're not.
No.
Yeah. He's blamed for it.
Yeah, the curator sees the missing statue, immediately blames Honker. Luckily, Drake comes to your aid. Yes, Honker?
I don't know why he blames me.
I know, right?
Yeah, but luckily, you know, Drake holds you upside down, drops the books out of your book bag, and says, you know, he doesn't have it on him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of my favorite scenes. Both in the way, you know, Honker, both what happens next, and the animation is great too. All the characters ask Honker what he saw, and you can't get the words out. You're stammering, you're going and then Drake comes over and he says, this is my favorite Drake scene in the episode. He said, it's true that Honker here is a shy child, but I've dealt with this thing before. Honker, spit it out. And a honker, oh, you just let it loose, like air out of a balloon. You just spit it out.
He scared the words out of me.
That Drake has to do that sometimes, doesn't he?
Yep.
And I do like that cuts to a shot of everyone just staring at you, Honker, and Drake's eyes. He's blinking and looking back and forth like, I didn't catch any of that. And then weirdly, Drake says you're lying. You'd think he would know better than that.
Yeah. Because everybody trusts Gosman. I mean, not Gos, but Honker. Everyone trusts Honker.
But then Goslin makes the mistake of saying she tried to teach Honker to lie, which Binky and Herb aren't happy about.
Yep. She's a bad influence.
Yeah, so Honker, you get punished.
Yeah, they don't want me to be with her.
No, she's your only friend, and that's not very nice. But you know what? You know how your parents are. So, I like this next scene with Herb. It's really, really great. Like, Jim Cummings is amazing. Herb lays out the punishment. No TV, no going out to play, no TV, no food, no water, no sunlight. And then Binky's like, Herb, and Herb says, well, I guess we'll still feed you. Oh, okay, so who comes into the room once Herb and Binky leave, Will?
Goslin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do?
They sneak back into the museum.
Yep. I love the art direction here. The museum's all dark for the rest of the episode. It's actually kind of creepy, sneaking around the museum. Mm-hmm. So it isn't long before they find Splatter Phoenix, is it?
No, not long at all.
No, she comes out of the Washington crossing the Delaware painting. And like you said at the beginning, you don't understand most of her dialogue, and I didn't either. Mm-hmm. She says, I won't have you enfants terrible wrecking my plans. Enfants terrible is French for unruly children.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't understand half her dialogue in this episode. She loses me a lot of the time.
She's very artsy.
Mm-hmm.
She has quite a vocabulary, too. Splatter was voiced by Danny Stahl. I can't find too many acting credits from her, aside from this episode, an episode of Bobby's World, and the movie Clueless. But the voice Splatter has is so great. Mm-hmm. It works really good with the dialogue, too. Unfortunately, Splatter came back later, and Danny Stahl did not play her in that follow-up episode. It's a shame. Mm-hmm. So what does Splatter Phoenix do to Goslin, Will?
She starts chasing them, and she throws like this pink paint like a rope. And which is kind of cool in this scene because this is the fastest I've ever seen Honker move. Like he outran Goss, and she's the athlete.
Yeah, Honker, you book it a lot in this episode.
It's called a lasso or a lasso.
A lasso, yeah. Well, Honker, you have all those books. You know the definition of everything.
Yes.
So Splatter Phoenix traps Goslin in whose painting is this? In Pablo Picasso's Guernica. That's the name of the painting Goslin's stuck in. It's an abstract painting, so Goslin looks all hideous and all flat. So Honker runs off to tell Drake. Mm-hmm. How's that go, Will?
It doesn't go too well. He thinks Honker is still lying.
Yeah, like I said, you'd think Drake would believe him. That's and Drake says, Goslin's up in her room. He calls up to Goslin. No one's there. So everyone heads back to the museum. Actually, before they do that, we have a really quick scene with Splatter Phoenix and a back alley art dealer. Mm-hmm. The statue she stole, she's trying to sell on the black market, and he can only give her $75. And he has this really, really great line. It's one of my favorite lines. He says, hey, what can I say, sweets? If the neo-postmodernist backlash hadn't caught pre-Annie realism in his wake, you'd be sitting pretty. It's such a technical line. It's very well written. And then she just decides that she wants to steal the Mona Lisa to get real cash. Mm-hmm. So now we head back to the museum, Will.
Yeah. He still doesn't believe, Drake still doesn't believe Honker. And LP realized Goss is in the painting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's in the painting, and they catch a glimpse of Splatter Phoenix running down the hall. Mm-hmm. So, well, Honker, it's Darkwing time.
Yep.
Okay, this is one of my favorite Darkwing entrances, because it would be, since I was an art major. He says, "I am the tube of cadmium yellow that's impossible to open." It's so great. And before he can say, "I am Darkwing Duck," she traps him in a vase. This next run of dialogue I'm going to quote in full because it's so great. And it's my favorite dialogue in the entire episode.
Which I didn't understand at all.
She says, "What havoc spawns when art appeals to the general middlebrow tastes?" And Launchpad's like, "What did he say?" And then Splatter says, "The verisimilitude of my endeavors is far beyond the grasp of your petty little bourgeois minds." And Launchpad goes, "Well, hey, stealin'. And then Darkwing goes, "You may bamboozle my less than literate friend, but I am another matter altogether." And Splatter says, "I'll bypass that blind spot if you confront the fact that I work well above society's simplistic roles." And Darkwing goes, "Well, hey, stealin'. Like the dialogue again, like that's such great writing. I understand what she's saying. It's not gibberish, but it's so well written that even Darkwing doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's continue on, Will.
All right, so now we're at the part where Darkwing had a hard time understanding Splatter, and then Splatter creates a door to escape. They're after her.
Mm-hmm. It's not a real door though. He crashes right into it.
Mm-hmm. She painted it real quick through the wall and took off.
Very wily coyote.
Yep. And Goss is trying to get them to hurry up. She's still stuck.
"My face hurts," she says.
Mm-hmm.
So Darkwing kind of gets himself in trouble. He goes to actually remove the painting from the wall. Like, he's technically trying to steal the Guernica, one of the most famous paintings of all time. And the curator catches him in the act. So Darkwing realizes, okay, now I have another reason to catch this villain, because I don't want to go to prison either. So they take after Splatter. And this is where the episode gets good, because now they climb into paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is great. So Splatter escapes into a Cubist painting done by George Brock. And Launchpad and Darkwing head inside too. Darkwing says, "Let's get surrealistic." And, well, tell us about the fight that happens inside of this painting.
We look kind of like Pac-Man, don't we?
Yeah. And these monsters are really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
These big Cubist monsters with like blockheads.
Yeah. Yeah, they're getting chased by them, and Splatter's taking off though. She still has dialogue. I don't understand her though,
Okay.
man.
Yeah, basically she basically gives her origin. She came up with chemicals to control art, but she says her depleted finances stopped her from showing the world what she can truly accomplish. In other words, "I'm broke," she says, and she wants to steal the Mona Lisa and get the funding for her, for her crazy artistic projects. That's her whole scheme. But of course, she says it's so technical that you're not even going to understand it.
Yeah. But then they finally end up in the painting where Goss is, right?
Mm-hmm. They defeat the monsters, end up back in Guernica, save Goslin. And this is Honker. This is when you show up and you actually say the villain's name.
Splatter Phoenix.
And you say it so offhanded, like it's the only time anybody mentions it, Honker. You're just like, "I found Splatter Phoenix," and okay, I guess that's her name.
Yeah, her name's never mentioned again.
No,
that is kind of weird, huh? How I would know that.
She never says it. Unless Honker named her.
I know, right?
Yeah, I came up with her name, but I don't remember.
So Darkwing, Launchpad, and Goslin end up inside Goslin's painting.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's like it looks like something an 8-year-old would paint. It's like so demented. The T-Rex and the lava and the volcano. And Darkwing takes one look at what they're surrounded by and he goes, "I gotta have a long talk with that girl." So, Will, what happens next?
We get Honker, and Honker's he's stepping up. He's stepping up to the plate. He's no longer, he's like, he's about that now.
He's going to go after Splatter himself.
Yeah, he's going.
Yeah, he almost makes it into a painting, and the curator nabs him. So, Honker, you ended up in jail. Usually only Darkwing ends up in jail.
I know, it's very unusual for that to happen to me.
Yeah, of all people. And your father's ready to ground you right away. No,
For
Herb
life.
He's always ready to ground everybody.
Yeah, well, Herb can't see the forest for the trees. He says you're grounded for life. And I think the next scene might be the cruelest thing Tank has ever done to you.
Hmm.
He acts like he's a big hero. He's your big brother. He's gonna help you out. He puts a pillow under your blanket. There's you, and he lets you leave out the window. And as soon as you're
And
gone,
he tells on me.
he tells on you, Mom, Dad, Honker ran away.
Yeah, he ratted him out, man. That's not cool.
I'm sorry, Honker, but your brother's a jerk.
I know. I know. That's why I'm usually over at Gosalyn's house.
You spend a lot of time there. But, Gosling's the one who listens to you. If it wasn't for Gosling listening to you, those alien hats would have taken over the whole Earth.
No kidding.
Yeah, geez, those alien hats. So we're back at the museum again, still in Gosling's painting, when Splatter decides this painting is devoid of all artistic merit. The only solution to this painting is to cover it in turpentine.
Mhm.
And we all know turpentine dissolves paint. And she throws turpentine all over the painting. And Darkwing, Gosling, and Launchpad get washed away.
Yep. But then we get Honker, man. He's demanding things from Splatter now.
Oh, Honker, you walk right up to Splatter and you yell at her. You say, "Get them out of there now." Where did you work up the courage to do that?
Well, that was my best friend, and I didn't want her to disappear.
But Splatter turns so creepy to face you, and then you backpedal and you say, "Please."
Now, because you should say please.
You should say please, absolutely. And as for someone else who needs to learn a little manners, along comes the curator again, still blaming you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Splatter Phoenix makes her move on the Mona Lisa.
Yep. She steals the mouth.
This mouth is also voiced by Michael Greer. And I love this voice.
It sounds like Martha Ray, if you know who Martha Ray is.
Yes. It's such a great voice coming out of this mouth. It's not something I'd expect to hear on Darkwing Duck. But this mouth won't shut up. Hey, what do you think? I'm a finger painting? And so that's when Splatter Phoenix escapes into Salvador Dali's Persistence of Memory. Oh, I love this painting. It's one of my all-time favorite paintings. And Honker, you go after her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, and again, Disney Australia, the drawings are so great. I love how, all the characters inside this painting have, separated arms and legs and gigantic one solitary eye. The art style is so fantastic in this one. And so Honker gets a hold of something while he's in this painting.
Yeah, he gets that paintbrush.
Yeah,
he's about to fight back.
Him and Splatter are armed.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this scene. This is very, very trivial, but I like the way the lips fly out in the air and go, "I have all I can take off for you," and then bites her right in the butt. Just the animation on this little pair of lips is so well done. I love Disney Australia. They're so great.
This is the painting where they were looking like Cyclops, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the painting that's famously known for the melting clocks and all that kind of stuff. Salvador Dali was great. Turns out Darkwing, Gosling, and Launchpad are okay. They're fine. They escaped. They lost their color, but they escaped.
Mm-hmm.
So, Honker, you use your paintbrush to color everybody in.
Yep.
And not very well, though. You're so smart. So I totally forgive you. Darkwing grabs the paintbrush and paints everybody. So off we go after.
A more colorful character than I
am. That's true. So everybody has their color back, and they take off after Splatter Phoenix. They end up in a Pierre Mondrian line painting.
That's the one that looked like the Atari, right?
Yeah, it's just straight lines up and down. The characters are drawn very simplistic. I do love this scene. It's really perfectly done. And they're all taken off after Splatter, and Launchpad's stuck on an escalator, and Darkwing gets crushed. It's a really good scene. I just love the art style here. Mm-hmm. And then from there, they end up in a Jackson Pollock splatter painting. Again, I love Jackson Pollock. He's such a great artist. And cute little thing they do. Splatter Phoenix paints a wrecking ball throws it at Darkwing, and when Darkwing crashes into the wall, he cracks the frame of the painting.
Mm-hmm.
Very clever. So, Honker, now is your time to shine. You get a hold of that paintbrush. Do you remember what you do?
No.
It's time for Splatter Phoenix to pay.
Yep. You paint a bow and arrow.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah, you get her. Like the look on your face when you realize you're gonna win this battle is so great.
And it gets on fire because it's flaming.
It's a flaming arrow, and she had painted a bomb, and
Yeah,
you light her
I'm gonna
bomb.
make it explode.
Yes, boom! Huge explosion throws everybody out of the painting, and Goslin notices the lip stuck to your forehead, Honker. So Darkwing and Launchpad handcuff Splatter Phoenix, take her to jail. Darkwing has one great closing line. From now on, the only art you'll be making is license plates in prison. So they're gone. We'll see Splatter Phoenix a while from now. So
what happens with Tank, Mike? What happens with Tank though at the end?
Okay, so everyone shows up. Binky's ready to baby you, Honker. You know,
she's
but
my mother and she loves me.
yeah, she'll forgive anything. She's a sweetheart. Herb still wants to punish you though. And Tank is totally for it, too. Like, Tank is like, the kid's nothing but a liar. And the lips, the Mona Lisa lips, bite him right on the beak. Like, he totally deserves that. And the lips validate Honker. He says, this kid is no liar. And the lips say, would I lie? And then back on the painting. And Mona Lisa gives the audience a wink. And we're done.
Yep.
Yep,
Honker,
because truth always prevails.
And that's the moral of the story too. Yeah, you got to listen to people. You know, Honker, you told the truth, and this is your shining episode.
Thank you for noticing.
Like if someone said to me, you know, I want to see the best Honker episode, I would choose this one with absolutely no hesitation.
Yeah, this is by far the best Honker episode.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
And he gets
even more than when I got to wear a leather jacket and be tough.
Oh, and you did that twice. You did that when you turned into Spec, and you did that in the Negaverse too.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool, wasn't it?
That was awesome. We just actually reviewed that episode a couple of weeks ago.
The Negaverse. Yeah, you were telling everyone to shoot Darkwing on sight and rip him to shreds and burn him into fiery ash. Honker, that was a side of you. I know you were playing a Negaverse character, but you really let it go in that episode.
Well, sometimes you just have to.
You played a great role in the series. I can't picture Darkwing Duck without you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
And I think we should rate this one. Will, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll go first, man. This is obviously a tier 1 episode.
No doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. Honker, this is really a great episode, man. Honker, we see so many emotions out of Honker. We see him scared. We see him shy. We see him build courage. We see him frustrated. He's all over the place. Like, this is a whole different side of Honker we've never seen before.
He's not one-dimensional like some of those paintings.
Nope.
Yeah, and then, you know, Honker, you know, we hardly ever see Honker even get into trouble. And we see him getting into trouble. We see him sneaking out. He's being a hero. Man, you know, just Honker himself. We haven't even talked about the villain yet. I'm saving that for when we rate the villain. Yeah. But, yeah, this episode is easily 4.5. You know, the artistic and the story, how well this episode is written, and it's kind of good to get a break from Darkwing being the main character. It's really good, you know, it works.
Yeah, we get, you know, the show is Darkwing Duck, and he's in every episode. Once in a while, he can step back.
Yep.
So my rating. So my rating, I'm giving this one a 5.
Okay, a perfect score. All right.
I don't need to.
Because you're an art major.
Exactly. And it's, you know, I'm not going to go into the Honker stuff. Will, you said it you said it great. I couldn't. Basically, I'd be repeating you. But a great villain. We'll rate her in a minute, but a great villain. But I think also a big reason I love this one is the Disney Australia animation fits the subject matter so well. This is their best Darkwing episode. The expressions, the animation on all the characters is phenomenal. the adaptation of the paintings, the Guernica, the persistence of memory, all these paintings, you can learn things from this episode. It's such an ambitious show that if this one was handled by Sun Wu, I mean, geez, Will, could you imagine it being done by Kennedy?
It would have been ruined.
Oh, this is Australia's Darkwing masterpiece for sure. And again, villain's great. Honker, this is your show. This is where you shine. And it's one of my all-time favorites. I don't know if it's in my top 5, but it's still so great. I have to give it a 5.
Now, I know Getting Antsy is Katie's favorite episode. Honker, is this your favorite episode?
Well, I don't know about that. I'd have to think about it, but I don't know. It's one of the first ones, so.
Okay, so it's up there.
And I got to go to the Pee Wee golf course. That was fun.
You're good at that too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Honker's killing it.
Better than Launchpad.
All right, so let's get into this villain now. Mike, you want to go first?
Okay, so here's the thing with Splatter Phoenix. Normally, when I rate a villain, I take this villain's entire body of work into account. I mean, I wasn't gonna rate Quackerjack just on Days of Blunder. That wouldn't have been fair. But the problem with Splatter Phoenix, she was only in 2 episodes, and I'm gonna be frank, I don't like her comeback episode, and I think she was a much, much lesser character and wasn't even voiced by Danny Stahl in that one. So I'm only going to rate Splatter based on just this one episode.
Okay, so we'll rescore her.
Who voiced her in the other one?
Andrea Martin.
Oh, yeah. That's who I remember.
And the voice actor changes isn't the reason I dislike that episode. There were other reasons, but I only want to rate her on this one.
Okay.
Splatter Phoenix, I'm gonna give a 4.5. I know that might seem high, but I think there's so much story potential with her. Mm-hmm. The voice is great. The design is fantastic, and her abilities just lend so much visually to the episode that you could bring her back so many times and do all these great things with her if you really wanted to. She's like Camille Chameleon. There's lots of untapped potential there. So honestly, 4.5, and I'm totally confident in that score. How about you, Will?
Okay, because we're throwing out the second episode. You said to throw out the second episode. We're gonna just rate her on this one. Yep. I'm gonna give her a perfect score. Surprisingly. She works really well as a villain for Honker, especially Honker, because, he's so articulate, he's so smart, and I can't even understand half the dialogue she's saying. So to me, that works perfect with Honker. They really contrast each other, and the visual of her just jumping from painting to painting, and it seems like they can't catch up to her. And Honker's the only one, and it's a simple solution. He just gets a paintbrush. Only Honker could think of that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I gotta give her a perfect score for just this episode, though, man. For this episode, she's getting a perfect score from me.
Wow,
I love Splatter.
You went above me. Good job, Will. I think she deserves it.
Honker, you got anything you want to say about Splatter?
I don't like her.
You don't like her?
Honker, out of curiosity, which of Darkwing's foes are you most afraid of?
Oh, there's so many of them. I think I'm more afraid of Tank, actually.
No.
I'm okay. Yeah, I get it.
Because those other guys are after Darkwing, but Tank is after me.
Yeah,
that is true.
Funny? Isn't it funny how all of Darkwing's foes ignore you, Launchpad, and Goslin, and only go after Darkwing?
Right.
Well, don't give Negaduck a reason to hate you.
All right, so Mike, what episode we got coming up next, man?
Okay, so we have a fun one coming up next. We get to Sky's the Limit. A great Negaduck show. Just really funny, really fast pace, lots and lots of fun. Join us next week for that one.
Okay. All right, but before we sign off, I got to give a thank you to Honker and Katie Leigh. Thank you so much for being on here for this episode.
You're welcome. She's busy in the kitchen.
Oh, okay. She getting dinner ready, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey Honker, man, really appreciate you being on here. I think you've been the kid with the longest age range of being 9 years old forever. So don't grow, stay who you are. And I've met Katie several times at these conventions. Lovely, lovely person. I
She's a
hope I
real
get to meet
sweetheart.
you one day. Yeah. Hopefully these conventions open back up so we can see her again, man.
That would be really nice because she likes to go to them. She told me, and she loves meeting everybody.
Well, I hope I get to meet her one day. I do hope things get back to normal or as normal as they can get.
hmm
But you know, that's our life.
Okay, so we got the sky's the limit next, Mike. But for the people who are listening to us for the first time, where can they find us at, man?
We are so lucky we're on almost every major podcast app, Will. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, Pocket Cast Radio Public. We are on YouTube, and of course, watch our YouTube page and subscribe to it for our virtual panel and all sorts of fun Darkwing goodness. You can speak into your Echo, and she will play the newest episode for you there. We're also on iHeartRadio and Pandora and lots of other apps, just too numerous to name. And do you have any shout outs tonight?
Yeah, man, I want to give a shout out to our buddies Kevin Wayne Smith, Jordan Ferber. I hope I pronounced your last name correct, Jordan. They're going to be checking us out on the on our St. Canard Files Zoom chat. So, Mike, you haven't met them yet. I only spoke to them before, but I haven't met them in person yet either. So they should be joining us soon. Also want to give a shout out to Katie Leigh, man. Thank you so much for being on here. Really appreciate that. And I thought it'd be different to have her on here as Honker instead of, just being herself and just hanging out and doing an interview, because we've already interviewed her before. So I'd like, hey, let's switch it up,
Yup.
All right, so Mike, man, that's it for this episode, which was a great Saturday morning episode. And guys, make sure stay dangerous.
Good night.
Bye.